Longtime Donald Trump ally and apparently very good friend of Jeffrey Epstein before his tragic passing, Steve Bannon announced this week that he is calling upon Donald Trump to release his ICE brown shirts across the country on Election Day this year. Because, according to Bannon and his guest Caroline Wren, a major Republican fundraiser, Democrats are going to use undocumented people to steal the election, as apparently they've done in the past. It is remarkable how Republicans can make that claim year after 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 year, and so on and so forth, and yet never once offer a single piece of evidence to back it up. I mean, you would think after claiming this again for over 10 years, Republicans would have something to point to. Something like one guy even to be like, we got him. This is the one guy. But no, 10 years of the same effing talking point and still not a single piece of evidence to back any of it up. Remarkable. Not remarkable that the Republicans keep saying it. What is remarkable is that the Republican base is dumb enough to keep believing it in spite of never being given evidence or never even being cited a statistic. They're just told a blanket conspiracy theory and they blindly believe it because Republicans are the dumbest creatures on God's green earth. Sorry, you are. But anyway, here is what Bannon said about Trump deploying ICE to the polling stations this year. You're damn right we're going to have ICE surround the polls come November. We're not going to sit here and allow you to steal the country again, and you can whine and cry and throw your toys out at the pram all you want, but we will never again allow an election to be stolen. Federal law prevents the federal government from deploying any law enforcement officials, whether it's ICE, whether it's the U.S. military, whether it's anybody, to polling stations. That is illegal. That is a federal law, Steve. You'd know all about those, right? How was prison, by the way? Anyway, I kid. But that is what Steve Bannon wants to do. He doesn't care about federal law. We have to get the other lawbreakers. And in order to get the lawbreakers who don't actually exist, we have to break the law, right, Steve? That's your logic? That's what you're going to go with here? And then, of course, Caroline Wren, as I mentioned, Steve Bannon's guest, a big-time Republican fundraiser, said this: Democrats are seeking to defund ICE to keep agents away from polling sites. They don't want ICE funded because they don't want ICE at the polling stations to stop illegals from voting. They caught us, folks. They caught us. That's the whole reason, damn it. I don't know how they figured it out. I mean, we've been talking about defund ICE, for quite some time. I just never thought they would put it together that the reason we want ICE defunded is because if you defund ICE, then they can't arrest and deport people, and then those people get to go and vote for Democrats. Damn! We had it, guys. We had the perfect plan. These people are genuinely mentally disturbed. 30 years ago, people making claims like this would have been booted off the air. They would have had people demanding psychiatric evaluations. The men in the butterfly nets would have been out there to scoop them up and put them in a nice little straitjacket. They would have been given electroshock therapy if your brain functioned this way. But instead today, which look, that was probably the worst thing we could do to people. But there was a time when people that were blatantly crazy or just too stupid to function, we put them away. And again, that was bad. But at the same time, these Republicans today are so insane, so incredibly stupid, that it has me wondering, is it time to bring it back? I mean, to a small degree. Because these are the people with the biggest microphones. These are the people with a direct line, literally phone line, to Donald Trump. And they're telling him, violate federal law to verify our conspiracy theory. But it's deeper than that. This has nothing to do with preventing what they call illegals from voting. They're undocumented people, by the way. It's about intimidation, which is also illegal. They don't want ICE there because they think they're going to stop all of the undocumented folks from voting. They want ICE there because they think it's going to prevent people like you and me from showing up at the polls because we're scared that ICE is going to shoot us in the face. And that's a little blunt, right? But that's what they want. That's why Steve Bannon wants ICE there. He wants heavily armed Trump brown shirts at polling stations to scare progressives into not going to the polls. That's what he thinks will happen. They can talk all they want about Democrats stealing elections. That's never happened. But people like Steve Bannon are dumb enough to openly tell us their plot to steal the election by trying to intimidate all the Democrats into staying home.